Welcome, Traveler. Druid is finally there, and we get three amazing forms. Standard Bear, Walking Calamity Tank, then the Fast and Nimble Wolf, and a Wyvern, utilizing their wings and breath attacks for absolutely devastation. Let me break down all three forms with the information we have, and take a deeper look at some of their skills and potential cool stuff you can do with this, especially coming down to the Wyvern and the Power Charge generation for that super flame breath. And let's not forget about the potential of playing the human form as a druid with plants, thunderstorm, spell totems, and all that kind of stuff, and or simply weaving all of this together with your animal form. How will the druid shapeshifting now work into the animal forms? You'll equip a new weapon called a talisman. This talisman gives you the animal's basic attack, the talon strike, the bear maul, or the forward pouncing of the wolf. And if you then use set skill, you will automatically change over to the animal form because you swap onto the weapon. And if you then, for example, use a spell, you're then going to use your human form weapon, which gets you out of the animal form, which means you can really seamlessly swap back and forth between this. And not only that, we'll be able to also use our weapon swap points to empower both sides. So if I then want to wield two talismans, one for bear form and one for wyvern form, I can also swap between the forms, or go for my human, boost that with weapon swap points, to then go over to the wyvern, and vice versa. Now let's talk about the different animal forms in detail, and already have a deeper look at some of their skills. The bear is meant as a walking tanking calamity, and your standard maul will be generating rage, while being in bear form gives you passive endurance charges. With the rage and the endurance charges, you will be able to empower your slam skills to do massive more damage. And the bear slams work very well together with the volcano. Volcano uplifts a volcano from the earth, damaging enemies standing on it and releasing a spray of molten projectiles. While the volcano persists, slamming it will cause another projectile spray. For this, the bear has Furious Slam. Shapeshift into a bear and slam the ground with great force, causing a pair of shockwaves. Can spend a rage to create larger shockwaves that leave behind jagged ground. That would be here in the gameplay, your bear slamming down and having then the volcano bonus erupt, going for some nice nifty gameplay combination. And if you already think this further, yes, the volcano will probably work very well with Slam Warrior 2, just slamming into this. Plus, the bear has something called Walking Calamity. While in bear form, build glory by gaining rage, while already at maximum rage. When you have maximum glory, roar to the heavens and bring down meteors and a calamity all around you while you're walking forward. While you gain fire damage and rage generation, which is crazy. On top, we get the Ferocious Roar, which gives you rage, and if there are enemies nearby, empowering subsequent attacks to break armor. Alternatively, you can actually socket war cries in there as well, which means you could put Infernal Cry into the Ferocious Roar, and then with every roar you do, enemies around you will explode on death while you're slamming the ground, and anyways doing fire damage everywhere around you. On the flip side to that, we get the Shapeshifting Wolf form. And since the wolf has something to do with the moon, it's going to be a freeze-oriented build. For example, your Lunar Assault. Shapeshift into a werewolf and swipe with your claws, projecting an arc of moonlight and ice forward in a crescent. Converts physical damage to cold damage and 240% more magnitude of chill inflicted, plus more freeze buildup. Obviously, this says you want to play Herald of Ice, right? You want to freeze enemies, and then you want to explode them. The real interesting part starts with a cross slash. Shapeshift into a werewolf and leap backwards as you hit the ground with Bow's claws. Hitting a marked enemy with Bow's claw attacks will activate the mark and cause an additional shockwave. Ice fragments will be pulled into the location where the slashes cross and explode immediately, which makes the wolf playstyle pretty much dash into your opponents, slash freeze them, make ice fragments drop out of them, bam, jump backward for that big cross slash, which consumes then a mark, and also creates wolf companions, as was mentioned in the live stream. In order to get these marks always on your opponent, you have a pound skill. In that pound skill, you can socket marks, which means you can get the glacial mark, for example, by jumping forward, which gives you bonus frost explosions, and then you can already jump forward with the pounds, jump backward with the cross slash, summon minions also on bosses. Works pretty nifty together. As your final, you get the Lunar Blessing. Shapeshift into a werewolf and offer your rage to the moon to receive a blessing, gaining bonus cold damage, attack speed, and movement speed for yourself and wolf minions you have in your wolf pack or predator's mark. The buff duration is 5 seconds and then increased per rage spend, and the buff grants 52% of damage gained as cold damage, or even more massive cold damage. The interesting part being here, if you use a thunderstorm, for example, a thunderstorm will have rain come down, and that will drench enemies. Drenched enemies receive 25% more freeze buildup. So pretty much before you engage any pack of mobs, you could just be thunderstorm, pounds, crossing slash back, everything is frozen, boom, Herald of Ice, things start exploding, done, board clear. And now we're getting to the final one, the Wyvern Form, which is a lightning focused melee ranged caster mix that wants you to create power charges. And these power charges can be easily created. For example, you get the Wing Blast. The Wing Blast is you jumping back from your enemies and literally blasting them, like you've seen here my Wyvern do. Shapeshift into a Wyvern and launch yourself backwards with a powerful wing beat that knocks back enemies. If they're primed for heavy stun, so like a warrior with a Bone Shatter, the enemies will be stunned and release a shockwave and have a chance to grant you a power charge. Which means you could probably put support gems on creating additional charges if you already created a charge with an ability. Probably also play Combat Frenzy down the line as you're shocking enemies. Might actually work. And those power charges, they will actually make your normal Talon strikes be lightning infused and empowered, and your actual, well, then knocking yourself back with a kaboom will also be lightning empowered, giving you even more lightning explosions. On top, you could also devour your opponents. Shapeshift into Wyvern and devour a corpse or cullable enemy and additional nearby corpses. For each enemy or corpse devoured, you regenerate life and gain a power charge. If the target is too far away, you will actually leap onto them to eat them up. Those power charges can then, for example, be spent on your oil barrage. Usually oil barrage would vomit forward oil that you can then ignite, because obviously the Wyvern can also unleash bouncing magma ball attacks that interact with the volcano as well. So not only do you have a lightning playstyle, now you have a vomiting magma ball playstyle too, with then greater projectiles, bonus projectiles, maybe wild charts of vomiting 8 projectiles into every direction. Lastly, there's the Flame Breath. Shapeshift into a Wyvern and then go boom and absolutely destroy everything below you. Converts fist to fire damage, more ignite magnitude. Rage cost is ignored for the first 4 seconds, so 4 seconds long you can channel this anyways, and afterwards you will consume rage to keep going, and that would be 6 rage per second. Optimally, you will want to have 30 rage, fully stacked, to go for another 5 seconds, or you will get even more rage. Interesting enough, these are melee attacks, and your Wing Blast is a melee attack too, plus your Devour is a melee attack, which means that we could socket the Rage Gem. When I devour an enemy, get a power charge, and get Rage, which gives me more attack damage, and all my things are attacks. The Devour is an attack, the Oil Barrage is an attack, the Flame Breath, these are not spells, these are attacks, and they're melee, with a melee attack. I'll be swimming in Rage. I don't even need the bear to create rage for me. I can completely do this with my Wyvern itself. And all that lightning from the Wyvern gets also more potent with the Thunderstorm, because again, if enemies are drenched, they have a 50% more chance to be shocked, which means that the Herald of Thunder is a very good thing to probably play with your Wyvern, because then we're going to kill a shocked enemy, we get that lightning bonus blast booster, and then we go on slashing enemies and bring them down. The human form Druid itself can summon plants with Entangle, and they do actually count as fissures, and you can have 4 fissures at the same time, and there are a couple of fissure supports that with one single cast already would make the maximum amount of fissures. Those fissures of plants you can then empower by raining down on them with the Thunderstorm, and those empowered Entangles would then have vines lashing out and flowers will grow on them doing damage. It's a whole ass nature focused play style to grab enemies down, and then destroy them. The last coolest thing of the Druid is the spell totem. It needs you to consume power or endurance charges to raise a totem that can use the socketed spells, which pretty much means I could create the power charges with my Wyvern to then have, for example, the spell totem make volcanoes for me that I could then trigger the volcanoes with whatever I do. The same goes for the bear, right? I could make endurance charges to then automatically have these volcanoes be made. I don't have to make them myself anymore, right? I make a totem, the totem makes the volcanoes for me, I just slam them. Very simple. And yes, those spell totems could probably be played by many other classes, because who doesn't want to have a totem for an 8-second duration? And you could increase that duration easily with some supports that then just cast whatever spell you want. Apart from the ones with cooldown, because that's impossible. Now, what does the Druid have in stock for Ascendancies? We get a Shaman, and we have an Oracle. The Shaman is all about boosting your rage effects to also boost your spells. Every 2 rage also grants more spell damage, which then leads to Furious Wellspring. You have no inherent loss of rage. That's actually pretty good, because it means if I am at 30 for my Flame Breath, for example, I'll stay at 30 for my Flame Breath, and I regenerate 6% of my maximum rage per second. So I get even more rage by simply existing. Then increases and reductions to mana regeneration rate also apply to rage regeneration rate. Skills which are not default attacks cost +5 rage to use. And we get 7 maximum to rage. Again, if we now have attack skills, well, we're fine. We're not going to be using up that rage. And we regenerate the rage back, and we can make rage anyways. So quite nifty. Next up, we get the Wisdom of the Magi. Gain the benefits of additional bonded modifiers on runes and idols. You don't want to completely focus on the rage stuff. We can now get on our runes, this would be physical bonus damage on a weapon, for example, get another 14% increased effect of fully broken armor, or on a wand or staff, break armor and critical hit with spells equal to 12% of physical damage dealt. And that goes on for increased ignite magnitude, or attacks have 1.25 critical hit chance, just like that, because I choose the node in my Shaman Ascendancy. The real interesting one, though, will be Bringer of the Apocalypse, because it grants the skill Apocalypse. Let's have Jonathan explain this one quickly for us.
The Apocalypse, allowing you to become a walking natural disaster. After dealing enough elemental damage, storms of all elements rain around you, destroying all who would face nature's fury.
And as a Wyvern, we're doing all the elemental damage. We get the lightning. We get the potential to flame up with a flame breath for fire lightning. We get that oil barrage that can be fire lightning ignite stuff too. The other ascendancy, the Oracle, is a bit more confusing, but cool at the same time. As you're using your skills, you'll have these mirror images of yourself using skills as well that you have slotted. And if you then use set skill that you have seen in the forecast, you get bonus damage. Another note, during a boss fight will show you the future of a boss. And while that future is shown, you can do damage to both, like to the copy and to the boss itself, for a giant damage boost. More interesting though is the unseen path. Walk the path is not taken. This gives the Druid passive tree another 130 nodes that will just randomly pop up and that you can skill into. And these nodes are some heavy specialized stuff. Reduce spirit reservation and efficiency of skills, 40% increased reservation efficiency of minion skills. Aha. If you actually want to go full skeleton modes, or get 200 frozen mandibles. Oracle. Or you can cheat death with corruption endures, 7% chance to avoid death from hits. I can already see a bunch of ways how the actual Shaman Ascendancy is not only good for the Druid playstyle. However, obviously the Druid really wants to work with Rage on the Wyvern, it works with Rage on the Bear, and it also works with Rage on the Wolf. So that bonus Rage that then fuels the spells that you're getting kind of works nice with the Shaman, especially the first node that said, I get more damage, spell damage, the more Rage I have. And then you're also playing the Apocalypse skill on this Ascendancy that is most likely a spell. I'll do elemental damage, spells rain down around me, and I get then with more rage, that damage boosted as well, while always restoring rage, and then make my own attacks. Yeah, brilliant. I am personally really looking forward to be playing the Wyvern, because the whole combination of things the Wyvern does looks very interesting. However, the Bear Druid, with all the slamming and the bonus coming out of the fireballs from that volcano, pretty nifty. Looks a little bit like the Totem Fissure Warrior to me, and I would really like to know if I actually put out a volcano and then I summon slam totems, would that work? Because the skill says while the volcano persists, slamming it will cause another projectile spray. And if I then, well, put up a volcano and 3 to 4 slam totems around it, it sounds kind of fun, doesn't it? What kind of druid are you planning to play? And no worries, there will be live streams before the release where we already go over a lot of theory craft on how to make the Wyvern and the others the best possible ways to play. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.